Hi, let's start the chapter. Okay, so in this chapter, which is chapter 2, it's the technology, we're going to talk about technology infrastructures, the internet, and the World Wide Web. And it's basically, we will be covering this chapter, we'll talk about the origin, the growth, and the current structures of the internet. We will talk about how the packet and packet switch network are combined to form the internet. We're also gonna see how internet and email and web protocol works. We will talk about the internet addressing and how web domains names are constructed. Further, we will look at the history of the language. We will also look at the HTML tags and how they work. And we're also going to talk about the cost and the performance of internet connections and how the cost is occurs, such as towering and connections. And we'll talk a little bit about internet too and the semantic web. Now, as introduction, more internet users are using smartphone or tablet, and that will influence how we're going to work in the e-commerce. Can you explain to me technically and business-wise? So in a high mobile device usage is taxing existing technology and threatening to overload network. Current solution is for wireless providers to add more cell phone towers. We'll talk about that. And expensive and location can be hard to find. Now, the internet and the World Wide Web. Computer network is a technology allowing people to connect to each other, simple as that, and to each other. And then we have what you call the small I, or the internet with the small I, and then you have the internet with the capital I. The internet with a small I is a group of interconnected computers networked together. And then you have the big I, or the capital I, which is connects network all over the world. And we will see in the database and data center why we need such an internet. There is what you call World Wide Web, which is a subset of the big I internet computers that are connected to each other, one of the hubs, Japan and USA. Now, as we see that number of the internet hosts increased extremely high, so it's a pretty high now and keep growing. Now, there is something called the Internet of Things, or IoT, and it's about the connection of device not used by person. It's also rapidly increasing, like the switches, optical scanners, sensors that can be connected to the internet and use automatically, manage environment and security systems, for example. We can see lots of examples around us. Some business transactions also happening can be conducted without human intervention, like the AI, artificial intelligence, is going pretty much deep in that. The Internet of Things is the term used for these devices and automatic transaction processing. It's estimated of 10 billion devices in the market, and has passed that amount too. Now, 40 billion devices, to be correct. Then we heard about LAN, WAN, and issues like analog and dialogue. Now, we'll talk about LAN. LAN stands for Local Area Network, and usually is a network of computers located close together. And then you have WAN, which is Wide Area Network, is a network of computers connected over a greater distance. Telephone call establish a single connection path between caller and receiver that's transmit data along the single path of and circuits. We'll talk about how these things get connected through the towers and through the fiber optics. Then you have the public and the private network. The public network is available to the public and does not provide much security as a part of its basic structure. Private network, on the other hand, is a leased line connections. Usually you find them within the government, security places, between two companies that physically connects their computers or networks together. And then you have what you call the leased line is a permanent telephone connection between 2 points, which is pretty high security, but a very high cost too. IBM is pretty strong in that too, to set it up. Then you have what you call a VPN, or virtual private network. And it's a connection via public network to send the data in a way that protects its as well as a private network at the lower cost, but it has its own issues too. It can be, if you're good at it, you can crack it in. You can use what you call IP tunneling. And we'll explain what's an IP tunneling and how it works. And, you do encrypted packets, content, and place it inside another packet. And it's like a wrapper, works like an IP wrapper, outers packets. We'll explain that. Then you have what you call intranet, extranet, beside the internet. And intranet is an internet within the boundaries of the organization. It's interconnected private networks between each other. And extranet, which is outside, it is an internet that extended beyond the organization and incorporated two networks of outside organization entities. So two companies can be connected, different companies. And then you have what you call technologies, which is, we have what we call now the public networks, we have the private networks now, and VPN, and independent of organization with their boundaries works with it. And there is something, a protocol. You need to probably understand a little bit more about the protocol. A protocol is a collection of rules across a network. Computers that communicate with each other must use the same protocol for the data transmissions. We will explain how this works. It goes through TCP/IP, which was developed by militaries of USA, and then you have what is called, it refers to the two main protocol used by the internet today, which is TCP, transmission protocol control, and IP, which is internet protocol. And its TCP is about controls messages and files that disassemblies and reassemble the packets again. And IP control, internet protocol or IP is the address of the other side, which is a number, but it covers with some kind of a naming in it. So they know where it's coming from, what it's coming to where going for. So a specific address detail for each packet. labels packet with organization and destination address. So what's an IP address? IP address is basically is an Internet Protocol version, which is number 4, IPv4, and it's been used since 1981. IP address is 32-bit numbers, identify the computer that comes from, and computers use the base, usually 01, which is a binaries, which is in a digit 01 or off and on, and there is can have over 4 billion different addresses there. And routers breaks the message into a small packet, 0101, 001, something like that, that contains source of and the destination of IP address. Now, web page request and deliver protocols. So there is a web page who you click on it, and once you click on it, you will make that request to the database, and they will extract that. Example include Google Chrome, Microsoft. These are the web-based web pages, Microsoft Internet Explorer, Apple Safaris, and others. You send a request to them, they will be digging in the database, and the database will bring the information. Web server, that's where they dig in, is web server is a computer runs the web server softwares. It receives the request from many different web clients and send back the files that you are requesting. And it is usually you will find a client server architect is basically you kind of have a dummy PCs or a PC that does not have the data is lying in the server. So that's what you call client server architect, a combination of a client and web server computer. So how did this World Wide Web happens? Its web is about software running on the internet connected computer, usually generate network traffic like a web software, which is the large single traffic categories. It happens, and then you have what you call the outbase, which is about emailing, file transferring, and other data transmission traffic. That's a different probably could be also a different web, a different server too. And web results from a new ways of thinking about information storage and retrieval. So that you don't want to, you want to, the way you will talk about how this happens and the network. And it's the key technology web element basically is hypertext and graphical user interface. And we'll look at the hypertext and the graphical and how do they work. And basically, they are hypertext server. It's about a storage files written in hypertext markup language, which is called HTML, which is used for the creation of web pages. You don't need to do details on that, or which is called web servers, what we call web servers. And then you have what's in HTML is basically is a language that includes a set of codes attached to a text and describes the relationship among text elements. So it's a code attached between different tags and describe the relation between them. And then you have the hypertext link or the hyperlink, and it's about point to another location. When you click on it, you point to another location, takes you there. same or another, for example, the HTML document. We will look here. There is also a huge growth for estimated number of websites. We see that billions of them has been increasing. You check the website, Google, will find millions of these websites available. Now, the question comes in here, what's a deep web? Usually when you develop, there is a two type, but the deep web is when you develop a website or information that it's not being received or people are not clicking pretty much on it. So it doesn't disappear, it goes in the deep web. Search for example, for online book on Amazon, pull a content from database. That's kind of a web, provide access to a customized page created in response to the user query. So you pull from Amazon a book, or you get some from database. And then you have what you call the deep web, which is stores of information available through the web. And potentially there is a trillion of web pages available using the deep web, which is most of the time is people do not have access to it, maybe not much. So that's the reason it's a deep web. And it's usually difficult or impossible to search because it's available data that is never requested in a way for that. Now, what's a domain name? Probably you're going to use the domain name. It's the dot decimal nation that difficult to remember because it's a number, so they change it to name. And domain names are a set of words assigned to a specific IP address. So you have a specific IP address, which is a number, but it's a word assigned to it so you can remember it better this way. And this is some example here. .com is for commercial, US commercial, edu 4 years, education institution, gov, government. And let's take a look at this for a moment and to understand these, how the dot is happening there. Anyway, so this is how it's recognizing the domain name. Now, when you have a document that you like to look at it, there is two styles. There's one style like a book, so page 1, page 2, page 3, and then you have a style of clicking and takes you to, for example, chapter 5, chapter 2, page 36 of chapter 7, something like that. And that's what you call a reading hypertext document. So you click, it takes you to certain web, a certain link there. But you have what you call a linear one, which is reading a linear document, page 1, page 2, and it goes like this. So they are two different of how it's done. And then you have a combination, which is a linear, or you have the hierarchies. So it takes you from one to other book or lower levels. And you have the hybrid, which is from one section to another section, and another section has its own hierarchies. Each section has its own. That's called the hybrid too. We will explain this points here. When you are clicking from your PC or tablet, we need to know the difference between, also what's the difference between tablet, PCs, or phone when we click on something, if it's a smartphone or not phone. But also we need to know the process here. We'll explain that too. So what's an internet connection option? Internet is a set of interconnected networks. Organizations connect computers using a network. Many families do that too. Mobiles are also connected through the wireless phone service providers. There is what you call ISP or IAP, which is Internet Access Providers, and they provide internet access to individuals, businesses, and other organizations too. Common connection options are a voice-graded telephone like analog, virus type of broadband connections, and lease line you can have, wireless you can have, all these type of connectivities. And then you have to consider the bandwidth, the download, the upload. Bandwidth is the amount of the data traveling through a communication medium per unit of time. We'll explain what's happened after the COVID case. Wireless Ethernet is usually, in the old days, there is something you click in and you put it on the Ethernet. Today, it could be a wireless. And most common wireless connection technology is called 802.11, which is today the latest version, 11.AC, with the bandwidth of range up to 25 gigabyte per second and the range of 500 feet, something like that. Once you're beyond that, it cannot connect. Then you have a WAP, which is a wireless access point transmit. So it takes that and make it in a packet. So it's a wireless access point transmit packets between Wi-Fi equipped computer like yours and other devices. So it takes it and transfer it to other devices, for example. So the device is capable of roaming and shifting from one WAP to another WAP, because if you don't have that shift, then this is also applicable to the towers of telephone. Then you are kind of gets cut off. And there's always a hotspot or on WAP open to the public, so you can move from one WAP to another smoothly. And then we have what you call satellite microwave. Huawei is very advanced at that, which has made a connection to the internet possible for the first time in many rural areas. And we will see this, how it works, and explain the effect of it today with why do we need something like that. And we will talk about probably how the ISP companies work and internet service providers working today. Now, what do you have? What do you call a mobile network or telephone network? There is over 8 billion number of cell phones in 2004, more than the population in 2004. And there is what you call SMS control protocols, which is you send a message and you receive a message. And you have what you call 3G, 4G, and these are probably one more service or faster internet connection happening. That's the reason you have a 4G and 5G today also. And the difference is the extra services you will find there. And that's the end of the chapter. Thank you very much.